He did not,
there
sir.
is no military
Actually,
role
it's a
in
very
the
crucial
operation.
point,
You're quite right. You're 100%. The military
Okay.
was ignorant of this operation. They were caught totally unawares. They did not
Okay.
know these things were going
let
on.
me ask
I'm
General-
simply trying to tell you that initially the reports of his existence in a particular area probably passed on by them.
No. Well, I think it is quite clear. Let me get General Pervez Musharraf in.
Sorry, this is I'm speaking on behalf of President Musharraf. We will not be participating in this thing. We thought it was a one-on-one interview. We're not going to participate in a debate.
It is a one-on-one interview. If Pervez Musharraf comes on the line, it will be a one-on-one chat with him. We want to speak to him directly.
No, thank you. We won't do this. We'll set it up again. Thank you.
Okay, clearly Pervez Musharraf not interested in coming on a debate. It's quite clear here, that there is an entire Pakistani establishment today, which is unwilling to answer the tough questions.
That Osama bin Laden is
Mr.
not
Dawal.
on the Pakistani soil, and he had made it. Pervez Musharraf made repeated assertions that Osama bin Laden was not on Pakistani soil, and he had said that he's prepared to be punished for anything in case he was found on the Pakistani soil. Now, obviously, he will find it very difficult to face the situation.
He did not say he was not on Pakistani soil. Let me correct you. He did not say he was not on Pakistani soil. He said he did not know where he was. He did not know where he was. He could have been elsewhere too.
Soil.
I think that you can't put into Pervez Musharraf's mouth what you did not hear.
Let me say, after 14th September 2006,
Hello?
when there was this thing with one of the Taliban commanders, and then he was killed later. After which there was a handing over of the weapons and releasing of the prisoners by telling the Americans that we are taking this action so that the soft Taliban would be on our side, extremists would be isolated, and we will be taking action against them. Dadullah. Now, Dadullah's this thing, when it came, and that at that point of time, when it was told that the Quetta Shura was having its basis in Pakistan, Pervez Musharraf gave a categorical statement that Osama bin Laden was not on Pakistan.
Let me join Maruf at this point. 1 second, Zafar Hilali. Let me join Maruf at this point. Though I remember very clearly, Mr. Hilali, that in September 2009, Mr. Hilali, Maruf will be able to corroborate, and you can contradict if you want. In September 2009, your very esteemed Rahman Malik, who is your interior minister, told American diplomats they had no clue about bin Laden's whereabouts. A record of the meeting, I have it with me, says bin Laden sent his family to Iran, so it makes sense he may have gone there himself. He had a strong argument. Then he said alternatively he may be hiding in Saudi Arabia or Yemen, or maybe he's already dead. This is at a time when even the government of Tajikistan claimed that many people in Pakistan knew where bin Laden was hiding. In fact, I have a full transcript of what a senior Tajik counter-terrorism official told at that time. Even a Tajik official said in Pakistan, Osama bin Laden was not an invisible man. Many people knew his whereabouts. It's only the Pakistani government which has been running circles around the truth. Let me get Maruf in 1 minute, Mr. Hilali. Maruf?
See, there are several points that, we've got to get a reality check on what's happening. Otherwise, like Mr. Hilali, unfortunately, we'll also be in a state of delusion. Now, the reality is that Osama bin Laden has spent better part of the last 10 years in Pakistan because he does not enjoy too much credibility across the board in Afghanistan. And that has been stated not by me, but by very respected journalists who this morning, somebody like Robert Frist, was talking in detail about Osama bin Laden's last 10 years on Al Jazeera TV, and he's a man who's interacted with bin Laden regularly. The second point to understand is that the Americans, by their own admission in the transcripts that are out now, had been following this lead of bin Laden being in this general area since 2007. They were following two couriers, and the couriers were extremely cautious, and that made the Americans even more suspicious. The third point to understand is that it is not just the Kakul military academy which is there nearby, but Abbottabad has traditionally been a large military garrison, and therefore your assumption that Pakistan's military was not aware of bin Laden's presence out there was obviously, I mean, the fact of the matter is that if Pakistan's military was probably aware that Pakistan was now in for this specialized American operation,
yes,
Pakistan would have moved him out of there.
Yes.
The fact of the matter was that they were aware bin Laden was there. They were providing, as Mr. Doval has rightly inferred, they were providing secondary support to him through nearby houses. But the most important thing to understand is that Osama bin Laden has continued to be on Pakistani soil. He was needing medical treatment. He could not move as vigorously as some of his other supporters, and this
but why didn't they act against him earlier?
With assistance from
why
Pakistan,
did they? Why did the
not
Americans?
Always by the tribals, but in many cases by the cover of the ISI and Pakistan's intelligence agencies,
that is the fact,
who were hoping, as Mr. K.C. Singh has alluded, that in 2001 they were willing to barter him off for some big deal, and if America had really tightened the screws on them, as was becoming evident in the last couple of weeks, it would have been very possible that if America's military knew, if Pakistan's military knew that the Americans were coming hammer and tongs for Osama bin Laden, they would have probably put him on a platter and given it him. So, you know, there is a certain mysterious element to this whole thing, but there is also the very clear reality that Pakistan's military intelligence agencies were providing him the protection. Otherwise, nobody lives so close in a military garrison town in a country like Pakistan, where the ISI
let me go to my other guest,
down.
please. Just about. I've come to my other guest tonight. Hamid Mir is joining the debate of GeoTV. In 1 minute, I'm going to Hamid Mir tonight. From Colorado, I'm joined by Rob Schultes. From London, I'm joined by well-known security expert Dr. Sally Livesley. Thank you very much all for joining us. But here's the second report. Just about 2 hours after Osama's death, some pictures were released on websites. They were flashed across TV channels in India and Pakistan, some international channels. Pictures supposedly of Osama bin Laden, but soon it became very clear this was not a real picture, rather a morphed one. Let me go to Hamid Mir in Islamabad. Hamid, is this all adding up to you? Does it all make sense to you? This whole theory that, Osama was hiding there for about 5 years. The Americans knew for 9 months, right under the nose of the Pakistani military establishment, and then this sudden operation yesterday. Does it add up to you?
Yes, certainly it was surprising that Osama bin Laden was hiding in a city like Abbottabad. But according to my information, the Pakistani intelligence shared information with the Americans first in May 2010, and then in August 2010. They intercepted a telephone call from Osama bin Laden, and they shared that information. The area in which that telephone call was made, it was between the Texla and Abbottabad. This is an area about 30-40 kilometers, and the Americans shared that information. And after that, the Americans, I think, they started their investigation, and finally they got hold of Osama bin Laden. But certainly, I also know that Americans never informed Pakistani security forces about this particular information. The Pakistani intelligence was sharing some information with the Americans in the past, in last 9 months, but the Americans never informed about this particular operation. And the two Chinook helicopters, they came from the eastern part of Afghanistan. They flied in the Pakistani territory for more than 20 minutes, and in those 20 minutes, the Americans jammed the Pakistani radar system. So the Pakistani security forces were not aware, but after 12:30 in the night, the Pakistani security forces came to know about the destruction of an helicopter in Abbottabad, and after that the local police and the other security agencies, they moved and they cordoned off the area.
G. Parthasarathi was smiling as you were speaking out there. Now, from what you're saying, Hamid, it was a Pakistani government operation. Pakistan should get all the credit. But instead, the whole world is asking today, Hamid, I mean, what this is from the description that we have, common sense puts it that the whole world is today asking about why Pakistan was shielding Osama bin Laden all this while. In that case, it's a very thankless world. But Mr. Parthasarathi, your response to what Hamid is saying?
No, I won't go into what Hamid is saying, but let's go by the facts of the case. Abbottabad is an entirely cantonment area. It houses the Kakul Academy, where 1,000 officers, cadets and of various types are undergoing training every year. Now, for Osama bin Laden to have been able to get a house right next to the Kakul Academy without the knowledge of the Pakistan military is ridiculous. My officers have visited this place. First, to get into Kakul, you go through a huge military check. To get into the academy, it's even more serious. And here you have Osama, 2 of his wives and 7 of his kids living in comfortably next to the Kakul Academy, and we are told the Pakistani intelligence knew nothing about it. Secondly, Osama never uses telephones. In fact, one of the factors of this whole operation was that they found that it was a house from which there was no telephone connection, no mobile connection, no internet connection. So any story about Obama's phone conversations being intercepted by Pakistani intelligence is nothing but cock and bull. Now, the fact of the matter is the Americans have carried out this operation. Given the Pakistani track record and the fact that Mullah Omar is floating around between Calcutta and Karachi, and Haqqani and company live comfortably in North Waziristan, no sensible CIA official in his right mind is going to trust the Pakistanis. So quite obviously, I'll go along with Hamid to the extent that yes, they jammed their radars, but the Americans pretty much did it, and perhaps at a very late stage informed the Pakistanis and repeated what Armitage said to General Mahmood in 2001, that if you interfere with this, we'll bomb you to the Stone Age.
Okay, now
that is the reality of the Pakistan-American connection. It is a marriage of convenience, marked by deep suspicions on both sides. Let's see how the situation in Afghanistan plays out. Let's not jump to conclusions, and the whole truth will come out. I am sure Bob Woodward will make a lot of money by writing another book on this from 1 year to 18 months.
Now I'm going to let Hamid and Mr. Hilali respond, but Dr. Sally.
Okay.
No, one sec, Hamid. I know you want to respond point by point. I will let you respond tonight. Point by point, I will let you respond tonight. I just want once to go across to our guest in London, who's been waiting very patiently, and I come straight back to you in Islamabad, Hamid. Dr. Sally, are you buying this whole theory? If you're not buying the theory, whose side are you not buying?
I'm not buying any of the theories that everyone's speculating with at the moment, because it's the past tactics of Al-Qaeda have been very deceptive. Everyone was shown pictures in a cave as part of the deception, and the deceptive propaganda has misled people for decades about what bin Laden has been doing. The best place to hide is next to your enemy, very close to your enemy.